They've scored the most constructors points in the last two races in AT1, so they are on the move. And they're only 50 or so points away from the top, so that will be something to look out for towards the end of the season. But as for right here, right now, TD takes us on a lap of Miami, heavy braking into turn 1, get some DRS down the pitch straight into the mini S section, where it's really easy to lose the rear end. So make sure when you put the throttle down, you're not going to lose it. Drop down a gear or so through these S sections. TD just a little bit wide there through the right-hander, sets you up for this very long left, so it doesn't gets away with it after putting the tyre over track limits. TD getting a lovely little slipstream from an Alpha Tauri. Used to seeing Killian, his teammate, give the slipstreams, but TD gets a free one there. Heavy braking into turn 11 after an extremely long DRS straight through the tightest section on this track. And the chicane is treacherous, don't invalidate, easy to do, and easy to crash and spin as well. Might even see someone hitting the wall on the corner entry. Out of turn 16, you get yet more DRS, third and final section. Again, another heavy braking zone. Into turn 17, crossing DRS detection, where it will be active on the final corner. TD sets us off with a 1 minute 27.8. The quali lap record was set on Tuesday night, and it is a 1:26.831. So we're still about 9/10 off of that. Something to keep our eye on tonight, but Killian has done the fastest lap so far on the medium compound tyres. That is pretty good going to start his session off. However, that time will be beaten at some point. Well, speak of the devil, slap bus proving me right immediately with a 0.4, as Mr. Wiggles gets a nice little slipstream from TD. Yellow flags coming out on the track, just people avoiding other drivers who are on timed flying laps. Mr. Wiggles is due some good luck in this tier. Has only scored points in a feature race once this season. That was 2 weeks ago in America. Wiggles, if he gets a podium tonight, it will be podium number 25 in his IRL career on his 143rd race. And if he gets 2 points tonight, whether in sprint or feature race, it will mark 1,000 total points in the league for Mr. Wiggles. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Longson comes across the line, currently the slowest time on the board, but I imagine he has plans of improving that. Mr. Wiggles did go fastest a few moments ago by just over 3/10. Still 3/10 off of the record though. And if I know anyone who wants the record tonight, it's Deflated Wheat. 1010 stole the record from Wheat on Tuesday night. So Wheat is looking for some revenge. Seemed to miss the apex to turn 16 there, but it shouldn't matter an awful lot. It's just the first run. But he does go quickest. It's a 26.9, and we are just over a tenth and a half away from the record being broken again. Carito currently sitting pretty there in P5, separating the two Alpines. Adrian 7th in the McLaren. Felix in 8th place. Top 8 all in the 1 minute 27s or 1 minute 26s. Then we've got Smaller Smiley, Zidane, Padge, Greg and Longson rounding up the top 13. Just 3 yet to set a lap time. And in a short qualifying session like this, time really does fly. When it's Q1, you're mainly just focused on getting a lap time good enough to get you through, and then you can just sit back and watch the rest of the session unfold. But it's pretty much all hands to the deck for the sprint race qualifying. Asthma Frog goes 13th fastest, as we got Aya in the Scarlet Red Ferrari tackling this tricky, twisty is what I meant to say. Tricky and twisty, that's a tongue twister there. This twisty, tricky Sector 2 is not easy. You've got big straights, which means you need lower wings, but you also need enough downforce and stability to tackle the very slow sections. So those who nail Sector 2 are going to have a very good lap time here tonight. And Josh is not out of the pits yet. Maybe he's forgotten it's a sprint quali. He usually does go out a bit later than everyone else. So obviously in this session, time is very much of the essence, and currently only 9.5 minutes left of the session. Only one driver using those medium compound tyres, Killian up there in P4 at the moment. And Slapbus, what has happened with him? He's got a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Greg. Greg is his teammate, so I wonder if... I don't know. Really not sure what's happened there. It was in that very slow section at the end of Sector 2, start of Sector 3. So my only guess is he's trying to get out of the way of people, but there just wasn't enough room to do that. Josh is finally out of the pits as Slapbus starts a new lap. Killian has ditched those mediums for the softs. Killian aiming for his 5th pole position in the league this evening. And Felix in the Haas goes 5th fastest, although Killian goes fastest and pushes Felix back to 5th. Hello Novatech, how are you doing, mate? Deflated way back out on track. All 15, well, I was about to say all 16, but there's one in the pits. 15 drivers out on track right now, making it very congested. Some people getting slipstreams, some people not. We got both the McLarens about to cross the line, so maybe Deflated Wee and Adrian about to improve. Adrian does improve and goes to 4th. Oh, and Longson a little bit out of shape through the S section there. Just took a bit too much into turn 6, and that has caused half a second off and an invalidation. On board with Josh. First we've seen of Josh tonight. Josh hunting down win number 10 this evening. Very capable. Has finished on the podium in every race since the DNF in round 1. So is definitely in the groove. And oh, and a McLaren in the middle of the road. Who is that? That is Adrian. And Josh has not only lost his lap time because of that, but he might have some front wing damage. And Josh very keen to say to Adrian, what are you doing? And we may see Josh back into the pits, and that would definitely be a penalty, I think, if Josh sent that one in to the stewards. Greg, marginal improvement through the first sector. People starting to filter back into the pits after their second run. They'll easily get time for another flying lap. in the closing 5 minutes. Doing fine, lovely, Novatech. Nice to hear that. Hope to win my second time around in America on Sunday. Would mean a lot, honestly. Well, I know there's a lot of people in 82 who will fight you hard for that one, so all the best, obviously. I'm sure you'll have to work hard for that one. Greg, more improvement through the second sector. Greg, part of the furniture here, updates all the standings, all the penalties which affect race position, up into 12th. Well, stays in 12th with that small gain. Greg's 121st race in the league tonight, compared to Zidane Smithy's 7th. So we have a nice little balance here in the league of experienced racers and newer drivers to the league. Longson goes 13th fastest on that lap just then. It's pretty close there between 11th and 15th. Might have their own little battle going on. Carrito only out-qualifying Padge by 1 millisecond. And less than half a tenth separating Felix, TD and Smiley in 6th, 7th and 8th respectively. As Asmafrog storms down towards turn 11 with the DRS open now. Reminder, the quali record is a 1 minute 26.831, so a 1/10 improvement would do it. Currently Killian topping the timing screens. Deflated Wee is into the 1 minute 26s as well. Maybe those two could be the two catalysts to push that record even quicker. Asmafrog's lost a bit of ground in Sector 2. Quarter of a second off his personal best, but maybe the time is to be found in the last sector. And Josh is still in the pits, so I wonder if he's just going for one run here in quali. Asmafrog does improve in the final sector, but not enough to improve his overall time. Let's join the slap bus then, reserving this evening. Very bold and bright yellow helmet in that red and white Alfa Romeo. Can't wait for the new game to come out so we can see all the new liveries as Slapbus goes wide, and that will mark an end to that run. Might give a slipstream here to Asma, but I'm not sure. Padge then. We'll take over with. And this is race number 118 for Padge tonight. A manager in the league, and a little bit wide there in turn 11. Got a bit of a distraction down the main straight through turns 9 and 10. So maybe just navigating that traffic has put him off, and there you can see in the top right of your screen half a second off of his personal best. Mr. Wiggles only a 10th away from pole position here. Can he manage it? And he's backed off for another run to be done in a minute. Adrian has invalidated this attempt, so he will save some ERS for his next run. Slapbus starts a new lap as well. Padge has retired in the pits, so 10th is the best he can hope for tonight. But if he was 2 milliseconds quicker, he'd be ahead of Carrito. Felix then starts a new lap. TD, though, coming to the end of his lap. And there is some improvement in the middle sector. Good enough at the moment for 6th. Jumps up to 5th on the line, ahead of Slapbus. Good lap there from TD, has to be said. And Carrito bombing through the S section. Carito went quicker than TD on the first run of laps. Needs just over 3/10 if he wants to beat TD again. Everyone out on track with the exception of Padge. Joseph Hales has joined late and not enough time for him to join the track in quali as Aya pops into 13th there with a 28.1. We'll pick up Josh in a minute, who is on his first flying run since that collision with Adrian. Checker flag has fallen. Slapbus goes ahead of TD and Adrian up into 4th place. Decent lap, but still a good 3/10 away from pole position right now. Next across the line is Carito, who only improves by a fraction and stays 9th. Asthma Frog in the background will start 15th on the grid. Felix is into the pits as out of the final corner comes Deflated Wee. Will it be pole position for Wee? Yes, it will, and it's a 126.827, a new quali record by 4/1000ths. There comes Killian. It's no improvement, although it is a very close lap to what he did on his second run. And here comes Josh with his only run of the night and goes 4th. That's pretty good for his only run. TD into the pits, and 7th is probably where he will start. Oh, Gray out of the final corner, gets a huge snap, and that will make his quali session over. What about Zidane coming across the line? And he stays 12th, although there is a big improvement there. Greg comes into the pits and Longson has invalidated. So Deflated Wee then, once again, topping the screens, pole position number 9 in his IRL career, and snatches the quali record back off of 10:10 by 4/1000ths of a second. Wow. Well, there we go. This then will decide the grid for the sprint race. 25%, 14 laps here at Miami. After that race, we will have our full-length feature race. So with that grid penalty for a collision with his teammate, will drop him to 10th and push Adrian, TD, Felix, Smaller and Carito up a place each. Only 1 second separating the top 12 and only 1.6 separating the top 16. Not too shabby. 9/10 separating the whole field. So make sure to join us on Sunday night for that. Evening Goldilocks, evening Deflated Wee. Got his red record back. Discord, I think Slapbus span and was up against the wall, couldn't go forwards, but couldn't obviously reverse, so that's why Slapbus got the 5-place grid with Greg. A featured driver. Is that sprint race or feature race, Rids? I will get that poll up for you shortly. Let's tell you then about Deflated Wee. He got pole position here tonight. He is 20 years of age, from the UK. He has a part-time job at the moment, still trying to figure out what to do long-term for a career. Hobbies and interests include F1, although nothing else, apparently. Racing on controller, believe it or not. Yes, he is one of those aliens who races on controller. His favourite driver of all time would be Sebastian Vettel. However, this season, his favourite drivers are Leclerc and Hamilton. Favourite track on the calendar? Singapore in block capitals. Yes, he is a bit of a mad one at Singapore, so watch out for that on, I think it's round 10, maybe? I will confirm later. But he also enjoys Brazil, Portugal, and Hungary. 2 of those tracks are in the second half of the season coming up. As for his racing strengths, he says qualifying pace and race pace, and aiming for a championship in season 4. Currently top of the 81 division, and 44 races is an important number for Deflated Wee. He has a 44 race point scoring streak in 81, stretching back to the last race of season 1. Absolutely incredible stat there for Wee. And his rivals would be Killian and Josh, not surprisingly at all. Let's have a look then at Deflated Wee's stats. This will be race number 97 in the league, due to get 100 races in round 10 of this season. This is 9th pole position, has 7 race wins, 32 podiums, 85 points scoring finishes. Only the 4 DNFs, that's very impressive, and over 1,200 points. And if you want to hear what he sounds like, join in on Sunday. He has become part of the stream team, Horse with Snacks. Wily old veteran himself, IIRL Snacks, and this sprint race will be getting going. If it's okay with you, Rids, I'm going to do that poll for the feature race. Just not quite enough time to squeeze everything in right now, but Deflated Wee leads off the line, and it's a pretty good start. Heading into turn 1, they're all jostling for position. A couple of 2 wide, 3 wide, bit of contact there between Adrian and Wiggles. Thankfully, no one's spinning as Josh slots in ahead of Wiggles here, but TD now fighting back. Double move down the inside of turn 4, and side by side still with Josh. TD now has the inside, but will have the outside for the long turn 6 and 7, and Josh just has to back out there. I have to say that's a very good double move from TD. A mix of soft and medium runners, but 13 on the medium compound tyre right now. And Killian challenging perhaps for the lead of the race, wants to get things going immediately. No DRS of course until lap 3. We got movement in the midfield of Slapbus and Felix going at it for 8th place. Slapbus, of course, with that 5-place grid in quali, dropped him down to 10th. But he's in a soft tyre sandwich at the moment, Slapbus. He needs to get out of that pretty quickly, which he does down the back straight. So, all in all, it's been well behaved. Smaller Smiley's lost a bit of ground on the opening lap. AT1's not been Smaller Smiley's playground this season. Yet to score in 5 races. Hopefully, the feature race proves better for Smiley. I did say feature race. Sorry, I missed that. And no one is out of DRS range with the exception of Smaller at the back, although he is catching the field pretty quickly. No DRS until lap 3, of course. So no real movements up the field this time around. Slapbus looking down the inside. Carito too far ahead. We said at the start, the Constructors' battle is a very fascinating one between McLaren, Red Bull and Alpine. All 6 of those drivers occupying those 3 Constructors are in the top 7. So this could be a race in which none of those constructor leading teams want to make any kind of mistakes and give the advantage to their rivals. Fastest laps flying in. Killian has it so far. And as lap 3 gets underway, DRS is now enabled. First place they can activate it is out of turn number 8, sorry, down a very long straight. And potentially the person to make that move is Killian. However, Deflatewee's had a very good exit from turn 8, and without the DRS, Deflateweed hopes to maintain his lead into turn 11, and he is ahead still. Deflateweed might be running lower wings than Killian. Maybe Killian just got a poor exit out of turn 8. Who knows? But a few gaps starting to form towards the back of the field. Longston has dropped behind smaller. Joseph Hales making ground from 17th on the grid, but needs to close up on Greg if he wants some DRS. TD maybe at risk of dropping out of DRS range as Slapbus and Killian swapping places. Slapbus seems to be on the move here. However, gets a huge snap of oversteer out the final corner, and the good work he just did getting past Carito has been undone. However, these two going side by side into the opening corner. Slapbus round the outside, has the inside line for this S section, but then comes back to Carito as he swings it round through turn 4 and maintains 7th. Nice battle there. But the longer that these two continue to fight, the more ground they're going to lose on Mr. Wiggles and Josh. The championship won't be affected too much in this specific race. Only 8 points is the maximum that one driver can gain on anyone else. Slapbus ahead of Carito. Felix under braking has to avoid contact with Carito's Red Bull. Padge also running wide slightly at turn 11 as he tries to get ahead of Zidane for 10th. Joseph Hales, penalty, oh, and a corner cut as well. That will be through the slow chicane. And he's lost an awful lot of time, so maybe he tries to slow down and not get that penalty, but the game decided to bless him with the penalty anyways. Here comes Carito now, DRS down this very short main straight, but not quite powerful enough, I would say, to make that move into turn 1. Joseph Hales decides that sprint race is over for him, decides to retire, but will still have a spot in the feature race, of course. TD defending hard from Josh and Wiggles. As a result, he doesn't have DRS on the cars in front. And Josh may look here to make a move as TD defends the inside line pretty viciously. And TD says, I'm not going to fight back on that one. Evening, Joseph. Game kicks me loading into race. I'm on default setup and 4 laps over fuel. Joke. Wow, that is not the best. From the back of the grid, I guess you may not have got some points in this race, so yeah, maybe just at least you'll get a setup for the next race. Yeah, fingers crossed it doesn't kick you again. That is very unfortunate. Back to the leaders then, and Killian looks as hungry for this lead as he was on the opening lap. Felix pits, ditching those soft tyres. Obviously, will be on to the medium compound. Because it's a 25% race we're doing and not a sprint race, There will be a mandatory pit stop to be made. But with the glitches to the sprint race, this is our only option. Killian, is he close enough here? He's 4/10 back, and Deflated Wii has good straight line speed. And Killian, not close enough. But what about Mr. Wiggles? Is he close enough to TD? No, no move into turn 11 either for them. I am making moves on smaller Smiley, who has had a decent recovery drive here, up into 12th. Won't get many points for this race, but it's always nice when you get some consistency. It'll give you some confidence for the feature race. Gap out front. Closest it's been since the opening lap, and Killian may make a move here on Deflated Wii. Decides to go down the inside. Goes a little bit too deep, allowing Deflated Wii to maybe get a bit of a switch back. We'll have a good exit out of turn 3 here, but Killian defending well. And the next opportunity for Wii will be out of turn 8. Down the long straights through turns 9 and 10. And this is where we'll start to see if Deflated Wii has low wings. And look how much he's gaining with the DRS. Killian doesn't fight into the corner. Swings it round the outside, trying to keep hold of the leads. And Deflated Wii in the end has to give Killian the space. And Killian stays ahead. Great defending there, you'd have to say. All this is allowing Adrian in the background to stay within DRS range. Adrian here can use this to save some ERS. You can see his red lights flashing at the back of the car. He's under 10%. As here comes Deflated Wii now back down the inside of Killian. Is this move going to stick? Looks so far so good. But Killian fighting back with the DRS. And goes down the inside. Squeezes Wii a tiny bit as Kirito boxes and tries to go for a bit of an undercut on the slap bus. Asthma Frog also thinking, I'm going to get an early pit stop in. And this battle for the lead is really heating up here. McLaren can do some real strategy here against the one Alpine. And Deflated Wii looks a whole lot closer this time around. May get the move done before turn 11. Down the inside, he's half a car length ahead. Killian brakes as late as he can. Tries to stick it around the outside. That's fully off track, so he'll have to give that position back. Really, Killian shouldn't be fighting that one. Did go all 4 tyres off the track. And he does slot into second. Josh is now really making some moves on this trio. There's now Adrian. Killian pulls out to try and get a sighter on Wii. In the background, we've got TD and Wiggles going side by side in the final couple of corners as TD decides to box. And so does Adrian from third. So Adrian thinking of doing an undercut. Oh, Felix has lagged out. That's not good news for Felix. Kirito had an easy overtake on the Haas driver there, with the Haas driver being ghosted, and his potential undercut on TD hasn't given him much joy. We'll have to wait until Slapbus pits before we see where Kirito and Slapbus come out. So TD has gone for a little bit of an undercut on Josh, and Wiggles was in the middle of them two when he pitted. So assuming that all of these top 5 are going to box this lap, as Killian swings out to the inside, a little bit of a wheel tap, but nothing too dangerous from either driver, as Killian does take the lead of the race. However, both are going to race into the pits. You can overtake in the pit lane, but ooh, it looks very dangerous to make any kind of move there. Slapbus, though, stays out. I wonder what his strategy is. Yellow flag in sector 3. I think Asthma Frog has had a bit of a spin. And keep an eye on TD. Should come out in between Josh and Wiggles here. But Wiggles has got the overcut. Obviously TD's tyres are up to temperature, so he will have a good opportunity to attack. But Mr. Wiggles there with a fantastic in-lap on those mediums has got him ahead of TD. Oh, he spins! It's a very controlled spin. He hasn't lost too much time. He has lost the place to Carito. It shouldn't cost him anything more than that, so it might just cost him 1 point in this sprint race. As Killian now took the lead from Deflated Wee into the pits. Deflated Wee fights back on lap 10. These two trading places more than number 10 Downing Street has seen Prime Ministers recently. But a very good battle, has to be said. Drop in with some of the midfield runners then. Felix has still not loaded in. I might actually send him a quick invite. Slapbus does eventually pit. I'm guessing he was hoping for a bit of a safety car to come out. There's a Felix pits as well. That's an odd decision. Maybe the AI has decided to do something strange. Felix is already out of the points, so I guess nothing too much would have changed. So Zidane was the first to box in this race. Now has the oldest tyres on the grid, and Padge is in hunting mode. TD pretty close to the back of Carito as well. And in all of that, I have to apologise. Adrian has got an undercut, sorry, and is ahead of Wee and Killian. Adrian now leads this race. Not quite sure where I missed that, but that's very amateurish from me. However, two McLaren swapping places into the final few corners. It's TD flying past Carito, looking to make amends for that spin in turn 7. Wiggles with the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and he has done well to close that gap to Josh. And Josh has done really well to close the gap to the top 3. This is now a 5-way battle for the win, but there's only 3 laps left, so at the moment Deflated Wee has the advantage. The difference between 1st and 5th will be 4 points in the championship. So it's not too drastic if anyone finishes at the back of this train. Certainly everyone will want to finish at the front of it. Killian going in for the kill. Using as much ERS as he's got left Adrian doing the same. Both have the DRS. Killian pulls out to spot where his braking zone is. Can be very hard to see where the racing line is when you're following cars this closely. And when you miss your braking spot, you leave yourself vulnerable to the car behind. No mistakes are on the menu for this top 5. TD and Carito still battling over 7th place. Padge after getting past Zidane. Now Zidane has Greg for company behind. Top 5 all flashing, says Hales. Slapbus from 10th on the grid is in 6th place right now, pretty comfortably. Should start there for the feature race. As in the final couple of corners, we've got a yellow flag. Asma just having another spin. This track can really punish you when you're struggling out there. Amazingly, these top 5, no time penalties. That will be obviously crucial to their finishing position in this Grand Prix. Deflated Wheat, 8/10 his advantage on his teammate. But can Killian get enough speed and momentum? We may even see some kind of move as Deflated Wheat there runs a little bit wide into 16, gets a good exit on the corner, but loses a couple of tenths to his teammate. These top 5 could all stay in exactly the same position. Wiggles very close to Josh, who's very close to Killian, who's very close to Adrian. And it looks like a slight mistake from Josh. Now Wiggles smells fresh meat. Zidane and Greg swapping places as Asma Frog goes for another bit of a spin in Sector 3. Our feature driver, Deflated Wheat, could be converting pole position number 9 into a sprint race victory and 8 points. And they're all so close. Brock retires in the pits. He'll start 16th for the feature race. A smaller Smiley, his teammate, gets past Greg now for 11th. No points up for grab for that fight, but will mean a slot on the grid as we are on the final lap of the sprint race. And Killian looks to be going down the inside of Adrian. Deflated Wheat's going to win this one. But who's going to finish second? It's Killian versus Wheat. It's going to be a photo finish. Adrian has the inside line and beats Killian by 12 milliseconds. What a fight by the pair of them. One for the highlight reel. TD converts 7th place and Carito gets a point in 8th. Slapbass gets a few points as well for P6. Padge P9, very good stuff to finish in 13th place. Longson will come across in 14th with a bit of showing off, I guess. And Aya will come across the line as the final classified runner where he decides that wheel is not good enough on his car. And grid up based on where they finished in this race, and then Joseph Hales will have a chance to get a setup on for the feature race. Your AI pitted you when it was not necessary. I have no idea. But Deflated Wheat converts pole position number 9 into a sprint race victory for the top 8. 8 points for Wee, all the way down to 1 point for Carito. And the top 5 only being separated by a second and a half. Wiggles just getting the fastest lap in the sprint race. Will we see more of those top 5 in the feature race, I wonder? Literally got no pace, says TD. Well, 7th place, not too bad at all. Of course, when you're in a big train, you've got DRS. When you're not in the train, you don't have DRS. So that is a factor to consider as well. I was readied up too soon. So there may be a restart for this one. And it looks like it's Zidane who is readied up. That'll be a penalty, perhaps. Looks like Adrian's not in this lobby. We'll continue to commentate as if this is the real thing. There may be a restart coming, but we'll have to wait and see. Fleetwood gets off the line. Adrian, who is in AI at the moment, needs an invite back. We've got Slapbass and Wiggles making a little bit of contact in turn 1. That's the second time tonight Mr. Wiggles has made a slight bit of contact into the opening corner. Round the outside goes Padge, looking to get a move done on Zidane, who goes a little bit wide, following TD, who himself goes a little bit wide as well. Move at the front between Killian and Adrian, as I believe Adrian is still in AI mode. And here comes Mr. Wiggles now down the inside of Kirito, and we'll get your tyre straps up. The only one on the mediums right now is Zidane, as Adrian's AI is falling places and he's going to rejoin this race in 5th. Make that 6th. His AI has decided to mess up there whilst being overtaken. That's very unfortunate for Adrian, and if Adrian wants another top 2 finish, he's going to have to make his way past a whole load of people. Joseph Hale's great start, started last, now up into the top 10. A very productive opening lap from Joseph Hales, and we can only presume he's got his setup on. And no one dropping back on the opening lap. Everyone in a bit of a train, as I say there. It looks like Asma and I have had a bit of a collision, and Asma Frog has a 5-second penalty for a collision with Aya in the Ferrari. Joseph Hale's running a little bit wide there at turn 8, might have got a warning for that. Our tyres don't feel amazing on the start of the Grand Prix. Very cold, a bit understeery as well. Easy to spin as well, so all these drivers are managing that alongside trying to get past some drivers in front of them. All this without DRS, which will be enabled next time around. As in the background you see Smaller Smiley there. Just got a bit too much on the inside curb at the chicane and might have some wing damage as he ploughs into the barrier. Smaller Smiley's pointless streak in 81 this season may continue. He'll probably need a safety car. Oh, spinning! We have Joseph Hales out of the final corners and losing places. Smaller Smiley, you see going into the pits. And Aya comes into the pits where he speeds and gets a 5-second time penalty. It's going to be a long race, this one. That sprint race was very fast and frantic and very close between that top 5. Adrian's been the most unlucky one with that disconnect. He's now in P9 and has to do all the hard work in this feature Grand Prix. Top 5 are threatening to run away with this one. TD gets past Zidane with a DRS down into turn 11. See more moves into turn 11 than the Beatles have released top 10 songs. Well, that trend continues. In the foreground, you see Mr. Wiggles very close to the back of Slap Bus. Penalties for Asma Frog and Aya in the opening stages. Josh just slipping out of the DRS range, only marginally by a few hundredths from Killian in second. Closer Killian gets to Wee. The more those top two can try and break away. Some kind of F1 Super League. As two Hasses swapping places. Felix making a move around the outside of Padge into, yep, you guessed it, turn 11. It's a good track going side by side. We've seen it already today. As Wiggles and Slapbus swapping places. Wiggles getting that move done on the back straight with DRS. Wiggles sets a new fastest lap of the race. Don't expect to see any records broken just now, as Longson has made a bit of a mistake in turn 16. Joseph Hales, who made his own mistake into turn 16, overtakes, and TD has spun at turn 3, and he's lost a whole load of places. Those hard compound are really not nice to drive on in the opening few laps. A smaller Smiley sets a fastest lap. Adrian trying to get past Zidane. Zidane staying ahead into 7th. In the background we've got Felix, who looks pretty quick at this stage of the race, has to be said. Made the move on his teammate, past TD and Joseph, who them two somehow seem to fight all the time on track. But Felix here has got a lot of momentum behind him. Slipstream as well, and into the braking zone, fully alongside Greg. And in the end, Greg doesn't fight it too much. Felix up into 9th, and 2 points on the cards if he carries this on. Pretty good going, if you ask me. Top 5 are breaking away from Carito. That is the effect of DRS. You can stay in the DRS of the car in front. You'll get an extra 2 or 3 tenths maybe per lap. Per straight, I would say. There's 3 DRS zones on this track. No hint of a safety car in the opening 6 laps. And while McLaren took top points in the sprint race, it looks like maybe Red Bull going to fight back in the feature race. Josh up in 3rd, Carito 6th right now. Mr. Wiggles pretty close to the back of Josh, and in the foreground you see Killian and Deflated Wee once again threatening to bring more action to this channel. Beautiful sound of Killian not getting any wheel spin through that S section. Kept it consistent. Now only 3/10 behind Deflated Wheat. Well, Deflated gains a whole 10th before that DRS zone. Clearly, Killian has a bit more front wing on the car, and that is what's keeping Deflated Wheat in the lead of this Grand Prix. You can see Killian a lot more confident and composed in the corners. Closes right up to the back of Wheat in the McLaren on the corners, but as soon as you get on the straight, you see Deflated Wheat bomb, and he escapes. It's like a little rat. Not in a negative way. You always try and catch a rat. They always escape and they always scurry off, and you're like, oh my goodness, I have to do this all again. You creep up to the back of the rat, and then the rat scurries off again. It's exactly what this fight is like right now. Of course, the longer that these two fight, the more opportunity Josh has to try and close that gap, and under braking for turn 1. Definitely got back in DRS range, but through the S section, Killian just has that advantage of a bit more downforce and gets Josh out of the 1 second window. Josh is really pushing here, but this time Killian is a lot closer. He's a 10th closer than what he was last lap. You can see Deflated Wheat inching ahead, but maybe Killian is close enough now to make a move into turn 11. But once again, this is continuing this little trend. I wonder if Killian maybe should start to think about doing some kind of undercut. Don't expect to see any of those hard tyre runners in until maybe lap 15 or 16. But you could easily start planning an undercut this early on. It's not easy to save overtake here at this track. Padge getting past Greg for the final points position of the race at the moment. Joseph Hales and TD closing into the back of these pair. See him in the background. Joseph Hales with the rear wing open, the DRS. Maybe Joseph just allowing TD to close the gap without any pressure behind. But then once TD and Joseph are within DRS range of Greg and Padge, only one of them will get points as things stand. Adrian and Felix battling over 8th. Zidane on those medium compound tyres doing remarkably well to stay ahead of Felix and Adrian, who showed incredible pace here tonight. But Zidane holding his own on those medium compound tyres. He'll make a pit stop around lap 12 or 13. So still got a few laps to go before we see any boxing. Kurito, the lack of DRS is really costing him, but 6th place, I'm sure he won't be too disappointed with that, considering he's got 3.5 seconds behind to Zidane. And TD within DRS range now of Greg. In the foreground you see Adrian following Felix closely. And TD very close to the back of Greg, within distance of making a move. But when will he go for it? TD, of course, was running in the top 8 before a spin at turn 3. sends him to 12th place. Joseph looking to recover from a spin of his own. Still, points could be on the horizon. Who will get it? TD, red light flashing, low ERS use management. The smaller Smiley has crashed at the exit of turn 8. And will that be a safety car? All the drivers have passed the incident now, so we may not get a safety car, as Deflated Wing and Killian are very close going into the final corner. Just watch this TD move here. And there is a full safety car. And the top 5 leaders have all just come across the final corner and will not be able to pit. Which means Kirito and Zidane and Felix and Adrian and Padge and Greg and TD and Joseph all pitting right now. Asthma Frog in 16th place right now has a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car Delta. He cannot serve that under safety car. And now, oh, is that 2 drive-throughs? It's come up twice. I wonder if Asthma Frog has 2 drive-throughs. But this could not have got any worse for the leaders. You can see Kirito, that delta between him and Slapbus is rapidly reducing, which means if this top 5 pit, Kirito is going to be in the lead of the race. Asthma Frog deciding, I'm not serving a drive-through, I'm just going to retire from the Grand Prix. So both Mercedes retiring in the opening 11 laps. And you can see Kirito, he's only 5 seconds off the top 5. That timing of the safety car was horrendous for the top 5. Now if they pit, they're going to drop down to outside the points. But you get the feeling they kind of have to, because they're going to lose 20 seconds anyway. These top 5 have been really unlucky. And there you see all 5 of them into the pits. And they will come out behind Joseph Hales. So Joseph will be up to 8th place here. And your new leader of the Grand Prix is FRL Kirito, who was about 10 seconds off the lead 2 laps ago. Zidane is in 2nd place for what will be his best IRL finish, but he has got a set of the hard compound tyres on, which at this stage will be a slower compound tyre. We then got Felix, Adrian, after he started the race in AI. He now finds himself ahead of his teammate and up in 4th place, and maybe the new favourite to win this Grand Prix. Greg is in 5th, TD is in 6th, Padge is in 7th, Joseph Hales is in 8th. Ironically, those 2 spins for TD and Joseph Hales have actually gained them positions rather than lost them positions. And then of course we've got the 5 front runners. Killian, Josh, Wiggles and Slapbus, exactly in the order they entered the pits. Longson and Aya have been thrown a lifeline, as they are now back in this Grand Prix and maybe can start dreaming of a points finish again. And Smaller Smiley now 6 races this season in 81, no points on the board. Fingers crossed That 1 week break next week will help clear your head slightly, get some points on the board in round 10. Safety car will be in this lap. Kurito will back the field up, giving him a bit of free space to accelerate and try and get a gap on Smithy as quick as he can. Kurito will hope that he can get a 1 second advantage on Zidane as soon as possible. Now you see the sudden change in movement. Kurito's gone for it. TD and Greg swapping places already, as TD very quick to make a move. Oh, and Greg has spun into turn 1. A little bit of contact there as Greg got ghosted, and TD as a result has lost a place to Padge, but looks to stay ahead of Joseph Hales, as behind him we got Deflated Wee, who is very frustrated. Oh, and Killian's gone. What on earth happened with Killian? Was there contact? Did Killian hit the wall? But Killian has been possibly the most unlucky driver in the last 4 laps. And Deflated Wee now under huge pressure from Josh. Josh around the outside of the former race leader, the winner of the sprint race, the pole position man himself, Deflated Wee. And Josh now up into 8th place. And ordinarily we'd be saying that was for the net lead of the Grand Prix. However, if Josh wants to win this, he's got to overtake another 7 drivers ahead. Kurito flying down the back straight. As Felix gets past Zidane. Down into the final corner, no DRS yet. Kurito flying. Kurito, 1 podium to his name in IRL so far, but no pole position, no race win for the Red Bull driver. Will today be the day? And Joseph Hales, he's lost it. Well, he's lost some time. Not a full spin, I guess, but very, very fortunate perhaps it wasn't a full spin, as here comes Deflated Wee. Mr. Wiggles now getting past. Has Wee's good fortune come to an end tonight? Not that anything about tonight has been lucky for Wee so far, but certainly this safety car has changed things. It's changed the order. The 5 front runners now occupy 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 15th place. With the drivers this close together, there could be another safety car on the horizon if a couple of drivers, or maybe a driver, makes a huge mistake. Adrian up into 3rd as a big wiggle from Wee. Longson pits and gets a 5-second penalty for speeding. Wonder if he's got damage. No, it's just a new set of medium compound tyres for Longson. Evening, Demon. Coming in late to the party. Well, you've missed the party, and a party it has been, as here comes Zidane now trying to fight back around the outside of Adrian. Great straight line speed for the Aston Martin pilot, and retakes 3rd place. What's been happening? It has been an absolute whirlwind. Deflated Wee took pole position and stole the quali record back off 10:10 by 4 milliseconds. We then had a fabulous fight between the top 3 in the sprint race, which ended Deflated Wee, Adrian and Killian. So we got more moves in the background, this time TD trying to get down the inside of Adrian into turn 16. Adrian beat Killian on the line exactly how TD is right now by 12 milliseconds to set up a second place start for the feature race. And in the feature race we had the top 5 running away with things. It was Deflated Wheat, Mr. Wiggles, Josh, Killian and Slapbus. But then a safety car came out exactly when the top 5 went past the finish line. Everyone else boxed, close to the field, and when the top 5 pitted, they were pretty much outside the points. That is why Josh is in 6th, Wiggles 7th, Wee 8th, Slapbus 10th, and Killian had a bit of a spin on the restart and is fighting his way back now into 13th. And that is pretty much where we're at. Zidane trying to hang it round the outside of TD, goes off the track there. Probably has to give that place back, but doesn't, as Wee and Wiggles swapping places. Kirito was the first to pit under the safety car in 6th place, as a result inherited the race lead and hasn't been challenged since. However, Felix is gaining a couple of tenths each lap and might set up a bit of a nervy final stint for Kirito. TD gets a bit of a snap out of turn 16 and there could easily be some kind of incident between these 4. They're actually 3 wide into the opening corner as Josh gets past Zidane. Deflated Wee trying to get past Josh in all of this. Side by side now through turn 4. And still side by side are Wee and Josh. Battle of the century, it would seem. Still side by side now as Wee gets ahead, and a huge either bit of lag or bit of contact there that appeared worse than it actually was. I am not calling how this is going to go. We've got Mr. Wiggles going down the inside of Adrian. One moment where you brake too late here will plough you into the back of the car ahead. But Wiggles now ahead of Adrian, up into 7th. Zidane holding his own on those hard compound tyres with drivers that were fighting for the win just 9 laps ago. And I'm calling it now. There's going to be a huge accident if this continues. I mean, it's fantastic to watch. Don't get me wrong. This is now turned into the battle for a podium. As, oh, what's happened here? Someone's gone on and it's Slapbus. Oh, and Wiggles is round. What on earth is happening? Lap 18 has been the lap from hell. And Mr. Wiggles has retired. I believe in the pits. I think he just dived into the pits there and thought, screw that. No point carrying on. So that shouldn't bring out another safety car. But we've alluded to it twice before. Something had to give. And unfortunately, Slapbus and Mr. Wiggles have lost out. Slapbus went for a big dive into the hairpin, says TJ. Something I didn't quite see. TD now, getting past Deflated Wee into turn 11, but they are side by side, and Deflated Wee has to back out of that move. This is now turned into a podium fight between TD, Wee, and Josh. Kirito and Felix are 6 seconds clear of this group, and with only 10 laps remaining, them two could be on for a top 2 finish. Let's not forget, Wee and Josh are in a championship rivalry fight showdown Only 6 points separated Wee in first and Josh in second. Wee, though, took the sprint race win, so has gained a couple more points on Josh, which means Josh really does need to finish ahead of Wee here tonight. But TD, a thorn in the plans maybe. Could be on 4 consecutive podiums for the first time in IIRL. Scored his second podium last week in China. However, it seems like TD just doesn't have the pace that Wee has right now. And here comes Josh with the DRS. TD has the DRS too. Josh going for a move around the outside. TD squeezes him off track. And there's no room around the outside for Josh there. There's still an intense fight happening between Kirito and Felix as there's a yellow flag, and Greg has had a bit of a spin through that tight double right section. Here comes Josh now. TD pulls to the left, tries to break the slipstream, excuse me. TD keeps fighting. Gets a marvellous exit out of turn 16. Josh has to go off track. Gets all the dirt and the grit off his tyres by weaving. Deflated Wee now pulling ground on these two. Bad news for Josh. TD being a staunch defender. He may not get a podium here, but he may get his second, fourth place finish of the season. Another yellow flag in Sector 1. Joseph getting past Aya for 11th place. Killian on a mission to try and claw back some points here. Drop down to 15th. As here comes Josh again, this time thought about going down the inside, but switches to the outside. Swings it round. Josh, all 4 tyres off the track. And TD swings it round the outside. Maybe Josh lifted off there and let him back through, but either way, decent move from TD. Bit of a slide from Josh. And we'll stay on board because I imagine with TD's red light flashing, trying to break that slipstream, that's 3 bits of weaving there from TD. It's very frantic. It's very desperate defending. Will there be any change in position? TD, good defence through 16. And by the way, we got a McLaren hunting them both down. Josh down the inside. Takes a play out of TD's playbook. Squeezes him slightly. They're going side by side. A bit of wheel contact. TD has the inside line for 5. Oh, and a spin! I do not believe it. TD spins a bit too much curb on the inside of 6. And it's heartbreak for Alpine. 9th and 10th in this race. Josh and Adrian, 4th and 5th. Slapbus in 6th after a failed move into 16 earlier on. Zidane in the points still on those hard compound tyres. Very impressive stuff, but he's got a heck of a job to keep Killian and Padge behind. TD once again battling with Joseph Hales. As here comes Killian. Down the inside of Zidane. Zidane tries to hang. Those tyres not giving him the grip that he was hoping for. TD and Joseph fighting even more. Kirito and Felix still battling for the leads, but if they battle too much, Deflated Wee could come back at them here The gap has reduced from 6 seconds to 4.3 in the last 4 or so laps. Is there enough time and space for Deflated Wee to still win this race? Padge running slightly wide at 11. Possibly broke a bit too late trying to get past Sedan. As Joseph Hills gets a time penalty. Poll earlier. People in the stream voting for how many drivers are going to finish this race on penalties. The vote finished 5 to 8 drivers. Somewhere between 5 and 8 predicted drivers to get penalties. At the moment it's only 2. Drivers keeping it clean out there in regards to track limits. Here comes Killian. DRS open. Decides to the outside route along Slapbus, but it could have just been a ploy. A Slapbus goes a little bit too deep, but a bit of a snap there for Killian to get off the throttle. Hey Tish. How you doing? Slapbus there. Too much on the inside curb, and here comes Killian round the outside of the long turn 8. And what a move. Sure, Slapbus had lost some momentum, but still not easy to go around the outside of there. But maybe that was Slapbus's plan to try and get the DRS back down into turn 11, which he does and keeps hold of 6th place. Zidane and Padge now looking to stay within range so they can open their DRS. But Killian, as we alluded to in the sprint race, has good cornering and a little bit more front wing, which aids him in this slow section. You can just see Slapbus gets away slightly on the straights before the DRS kicks in, and Killian gains back some grounds, but he's not close enough. Deflated Wee has now closed that gap to Felix to 3 seconds. He is on the move. At 25 of 29. Killian, Slapbus still fighting. 2 of the quickest drivers we've seen in this league for a while. Both have impressive records since joining the league. A battle perhaps we've wanted to see for a long, long time. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. Killian so close to the back of Slapbus, and now the DRS is open. Will he go for a move? Yes, he will. Down the inside of 11, Slapbus sees it coming, goes for a switchback. CTFD Baker saving ERS. Perhaps he is, or maybe it's just that part of the strategy where those medium tyres start to go off and the stakes start to creep in. You can see Slapbus has better straight line speed with the DRS. Has got the move done before the corner. Longson retires in the pits as Slapbus goes a bit too deep into 16, gives Killian a chance to fight back. We've seen this before. This is how the sprint rate finished. Deflated Wee now 2.2 behind Felix, only 3 seconds off the lead as Slapbus and Killian side by side once again. Three laps plus the one they're on. This battle is not finished, not by a long stretch. I imagine Killian and Slapbus will spend more time side by side for these 3 laps than they have in the previous 26. Go on board with Carito. who has led this race since the safety car came out on lap 10. Slapbus and Killian fighting once again and trading places. How I'd love to just sit and watch their battle, but we'll try and cover as much as we can. Josh, after getting stuck slightly behind TD, nowhere near Deflated Wee to make a move, but has Adrian for company, and those two have been battling for the past 6 or 7 laps. Deflated Wee on a charge. We'll have to keep an eye out for fastest lap as well. See if a record gets broken this evening, as it did on Tuesday night. Red light flashing for Carito. Not so for Felix. Felix very well could have been saving energy. Not once has Felix gone for a move for the lead since this safety car came back into the pits. But he might have to get the move done pretty soon, as you see Deflated Wee charging ever closer. 2 seconds now Deflated Wee trails the top 2. If Deflated Wee wins this race, it will be an incredible fight back. Felix dumping ERS. Opens the rear wing. He's gaining. He's flying. He's braking. And he stays behind. But Carito struggling slightly. Felix gets a little snap, has to correct it. Not close enough into turn 1. Deflated Wee has taken another second out of this pair. 2 laps remaining. If Deflated Wee has a good first sector here, he'll get the DRS. Although it's been slightly fortuitous for Carito and Felix that they're in the top 2, they have driven superbly. TD pits, no doubt, to go for a fastest lap attempt, trying to take the record. Felix not close enough. Can Carito hold off Felix and Wee, who is now within DRS range? Killian and Slapbus once again super close in the battle for 6th. Adrian now with the time penalty. That will mean that he won't be able to get past Josh, but needs to make sure he's 3 seconds out of Slapbus. Or Killian, whoever ends up finishing 6th. Deflated Wee needs to get past both if he wants to win. As it stands, he will be extending his championship lead to Josh. Is that enough for him? Or does he want more? It's high risk, high reward here for Wee. If he gets another place, he gains another few points on the championship lead. But one mistake and it could cost him everything. Carito has had a fantastic first sector. He's almost got Felix out of DRS range. But Felix has spun! I don't believe it! Felix was on for a podium. A guaranteed podium. And one mistake has cost him. And I cannot think of the last time I've seen something this dramatic in a while. Deflated Wee, because he hasn't got a driver in front of him to get DRS. He's going to have to do it the hard way to get past Carito, but there might be one final opportunity. Felix has dropped to 9th. And hearts are going to be broken in the Discord tonight. Carito, yes, it was lucky that he got the race lead after the safety car. But there's nothing lucky about the way he's been driving tonight. Was 6th, comes home in glory for his first win in IRL. Deflated wee pushed him all the way, but 2nd is the best he can hope for, and Josh ends up on the podium as Killian crashes across the line. Perhaps in frustration he couldn't beat Slapbus, who finishes ahead of him in 5th. Zidane, brilliant stint on those hard compound tyres to finish in 7th. Padge in 8th, and Felix. Collectively, our hearts go out to you after what looked to be an insane podium race, but finishes in 9th. Joseph Hales will finish and get a point at the end of the race. Greg, 11th place, and just outside of the points. TD, will he get the lap record? He's slowing down. I wonder if he's going to do some donuts for us. Yes, he is. What a lovely gesture. Aya has boxed for maybe a fastest lap attempt. Oh my word. I am spent. I have no words either, Felix. That was an incredible drive that definitely deserved the 2nd place finish. TD loses 12th on the line. Finishes in unlucky 13th. Oh my goodness. Well, I've got a tough decision picking driver of the day tonight. Longson gets the fastest lap, by the way. I didn't quite manage it, but that 29.7 is 9/10 off the record, so no record tonight. Only the quali record being broken. Carito, on the closest thing that he can call a home Grand Prix, takes victory from 8th place on the grid, aided by a well-timed safety car from his perspective. Deflated Wheat finishing on the podium. Josh only losing 3 points to Deflated Wheat. However, at the midway stage in this championship, the winner of the past 2 81 seasons have led at the halfway stage. Will Deflated Wee make that stat 3 seasons in a row? Adrian finishes 4th. Time penalty didn't mean an awful lot, but considering he was unfortunately an AI for the start of the race and dropped back to 9th, that is a good recovery from him. Slapbus had some good pace, was side by side with Killian most of the Grand Prix, and both of them deserve good points. And a massive thank you from me to them both for that brilliant fight in the race. Zidane, great performance on the slower hard compound tyre for the 2nd stint. Stays in 7th. Get some good points for Aston Martin. Padge and Felix, well, we've already spoken about Felix's race, but Padge, once again, very consistent, taking home some points. And Joseph Hales, after that spin earlier on, gets a point for the AlphaTauri team. Greg, Aya, TD, outside of the points and classified. Longson, Wiggles, Frog, Smiley. It's not quite been their day this evening. Retirements from the Grand Prix. Well, I always encourage people to not retire in the pits. You keep in the race. There's always a chance you can get some points at the end. Deflated Wee, considering I got screwed by the safety car, I'll take 2nd being that close to the win. I would too, mate, if I were you. And perhaps there's a theory that you should have won it. But who knows? Anything could have happened in that race. My driver of the day tonight, I like to give it to different people. It's very easy to just give it to the person who wins. Not only will I honour Carito in my driver of the day, but driver of the day tonight is going to be Felix. Felix has not been an easy season, but considering He hanged on the podium spot for that long, had a great strategy. Definitely them two, the top of the list for me. So congratulations, Carrizo and Felix, both are going to be driver of the day tonight. I can't decide between the two. Oh my word.